A Shop Master Minute, truly one of the Madden OGs. The honor and the pleasure of sitting down with this gentleman, Shop Master, this morning. Shop, man, good morning to you, sir.
Good morning to you, man. Happy to be on again.
Hell yeah, bro! It's
so long, but I get it. I get it.
That's what we were going over in the pre-show there. It's I needed a little bit of practice. Like, you can't just hop right into the deep end with these OGs that, like, you know, you've seen on Madden programs. Like, you know, for some of the first couple names you find out about, like, you know, once you dip a toe into the community. I needed some bodies under my belt, but before, you know, I could approach Shopmaster like that, man. You know what I mean? One thing at a time, kind of.
I feel you. Well, let's get started. I love the whole aspect of getting the origin story. I just don't know if an hour or 2 hours is going to suffice, you know, because I'm so older in the community that it's going to be longer than that's a beautiful thing, though. Those make for the best stories, when there's a lot to tell, there's a lot of detail, there's a lot of intrigue and mystery and adventure, bro. And I'm here for all of that, man. So, and we got nothing but time. Again, man, it's a pleasure to have you on. I know your time is valuable, so I'm grateful that you're spending some with us. Man, I mean, we could start kind of from the beginning, right? Like, we'll go chronologically, Shop. Where did you grow up, man? What was home for you? What was the home like? Did you have siblings? Like, you know, take me back to the beginning. Oh man. All right. So back to the beginning. So I was born in Virginia, but quickly moved to Maryland. My mom was a single mother. It was just her, my brother, and myself. I have a younger brother who's 4 years younger than me, but they always thought we always looked alike and we were twins. And I totally crushed him up until he started to get taller than me. And then I kind of had to really put my foot down because
how many years you're younger? You said 4 years?
He's 4 years younger. But he's about 6 inches taller than me.
Yeah, so mine's about 3.5. My younger brother, also my only sibling, but when he never wound up bigger than me. But for him, it was his Marine service. He wound up being a Marine Corps martial art instructor. So I had this same moment of, like, I was like, oh man, this is kind of hell. The tables have turned a little bit. Like, I enjoyed some good years, you know what I mean, at the helm, but not always the case. So you said I was having a little bit of an audio issue when you said, did you say Maryland to Virginia was your first move?
No, Virginia to Maryland. So
I'm sorry, Virginia to Maryland. Copy that. Got it. So a younger brother, 4 years you're younger, and with your mother in the household.
Yep, mother Beautiful. In the household. And my mom and my dad got divorced when I was like 7.
Okay.
So my mom pretty much raised us. My dad actually died when I was 16. Actually died on my birthday.
I'm very sorry to hear that.
It was like one of the worst days
of
my life.
Oh my goodness.
But, you know, I always say that in tragedy, like you can find things that strengthen you. And
sure.
So I knew that being a father was one of the things that I definitely wanted to be growing up, and wanted to definitely have an impact on my kids' lives. So I think that, you know, before then I never thought about having kids. Of course, I was only 16, so
sure.
But I think after that happened, and then me just missing that part definitely changed the arc. You know, every story has an arc, right?
Sure.
And my arc was heading one way, and then when that happened,
change your trajectory.
It changed the trajectory a big deal. So
for the better, it seems, maybe.
Oh, definitely for the better. As a young guy, I was very, and I still am very entrepreneurial. Like I don't want to say I was a hustler at heart.
Okay.
You know, I remember growing up, me and my brother, my mother used to buy these big bags of Utz potato chips.
Uh-huh.
And they used to come in boxes back in the day. And it was a big bag. And me and my brother used to take sandwich bags, put some like Old Bay seasoning and some other like spices in it, shake it up, and we
These are
would
homemade
actually
chips
sell
now.
it at the bus stop. We would actually sell it at the bus stop.
Hustle by any means. That's a beautiful thing, man. An entrepreneurial spirit from very early.
Yes. And so one of the things that so I blame my mom for getting me into video games, but
Okay.
on that same track of being a hustler, I remember she bought us a Super Nintendo, and we were the first kids in the neighborhood with a Super Nintendo. And she made sure she bought it with the track and field pad. So there was, I don't know how many of you guys out there, but the Super Nintendo, you can buy this track and field pad, and basically you run on it and jump, and it would portray that on the screen.
That's dope. I don't actually think I've ever heard of that, to be honest with you. And I'm like pretty deep I'm pretty deep into this stuff, Shop. Like, I mean, my first was a Sega Genesis. I'm only 31, so relatively young. But I don't, and I've even heard of like most of the peripherals. This is actually news to me. A track and field pad?
Yep, a track and field pad. It was a track and field pad that you would lay down, and it had a wire that would plug into the controller port. And you would two people can run on it. Man, it was so much fun.
Did this thing survive though? Like, I mean, this thing must have gotten abused, right? Broken expeditiously, if not indeed faster, I'm sure.
Totally broken. It did last. It did last a good while. And also, just to rewind, I've been playing video games since Atari 2600. My mom had an Atari 2600, so my mom loved video games. She only loved Miss Pac-Man, but she would never let us go into her room to play. So she ended up buying us our own system, and since then we had every system that was pretty much ever made coming up.
And at first, this was really just to kind of throw you guys off the trail so she could have some time and some space to play her video games.
Yes.
That's a beautiful thing, man. The apple not falling all too far from the tree, I suppose.
It really didn't. It really didn't. And so when she bought us this Super Nintendo, my mom at the time, we were living in Forestville, Maryland. And my mom was working 2 jobs. She actually was a computer analyst for the U.S. Navy. But she also worked at a department store in the evening time to try to make ends meet.
Okay.
And that's one thing I give my mother, and I tell her all the time. Every time I take her out to breakfast or dinner, I tell her how much I appreciate it and how I didn't know all the things that she did
right
when we were growing up. But she bought us this Super Nintendo, and we had the track and field pad. Me and my brother were charging kids 25 cents to come in and play, to come in the house and play. Now, mind you, we weren't supposed to have anybody in the house. But after school, where everybody knew.
And you're operating an arcade. Nobody in the house. We're just going to operate an arcade instead?
Yep, we go operate an arcade. You would have to pay 25-cent cover charge to get in the house. Wow. And then once in, you pay 25 cents to get onto the track and field. And if you won, you stayed on. If you lost, you got off. And then the next person had to pay 25 cents to challenge the guy that won.
You charged you charged cover? Stop playing.
I charged cover. We charged cover at the time.
My God.
We charged cover at the time.
That is so legendary, bro. I did not.
The thing is, like, people come in, they got to use your bathroom.
Sure, indeed.
They're trying to get something to drink. So my mom was just boggled at the time on how we went through potato chips and juice so fast. And it was because we were running this Hustler arcade.
She'd been financing the snack bar at this arcade, at the neighborhood arcade here is what was happening.
Yep, that's what was happening. And so, man, it ran its course, but eventually the track and field pad got worn out. And ended up breaking. And that was the end of our money scheme. But we made some good money. We actually, we bought a bike that we told our mother that we found.
So good.
That we found in the woods. All the stuff that I told my mother that we did after we have grown up is just
She must have
crazy.
loved it. I mean, I gotta imagine she probably loved to hear about it later, right? I mean, that's hysterical. You gotta just appreciate the spirit involved there.
She does appreciate it. She does appreciate it. But man, those were good times. Those were good times, and those were my early remembrance of like playing video games. My mom used to bowl every Friday, and then afterwards take us to Chuck E. Cheese.
Okay.
And Chuck E. Cheese back then wasn't the Chuck E. Cheese you see now.
Right.
Chuck E. Cheese back in the day was some old arcade with a lot of smoke, made more for adults than anything.
Right.
You know, they had a bunch of video. It was like a video arcade place with some little kid games that you
like
can
off to
have
the
your
side
kids
kind of
play and get pizza. Yeah.
Right.
But, I mean, anytime you have like cigarette ashtrays on the video game, and
you know who your real target audience is. Like you know who you're trying to get in the door here, right?
Exactly. It was basically a place to come and chill, let your kids run around while you relax, playing some Miss Pac-Man or some Asteroids or Centipede or whatever.
So is this kind of where like comp video game SHOPMASTER was starting to become a reality here at this point?
I think I've always been competitive. You know, when you get that little brother, you become competitive.
I know
right away.
Sure.
I mean, I don't care if we're playing Tiddlywinks. I don't care if we're racing to see who's gonna make it home from the park first on our bikes. Mm-hmm. It's always a competition. Mm-hmm. And so video games just provided a non-violent way or a way that we didn't get hurt as much competition for us, even though there have been many fights over video games, fights over video games with with my brothers. So
for sure. So okay, so this brings us through kind of like maybe like 16-year-old Shop. You made reference that you have like the competitive spirit, you have a competitive edge. I gotta imagine, were you involved then in any athletics as a young gun? Were you did you like play any football yourself? What'd you get into in high school?
No, so in high school I didn't play. Actually, I did play some sports. I played tennis.
Okay.
So I wasn't a
little bit surprising. Okay.
Okay. So growing up,
because you have a fire,
soccer.
like you have this competitive fire, obviously.
I do, and growing up, I played soccer, and I played when I real young. I played in Fairfax County, which is a big soccer county in Virginia.
Okay.
And I was the only black kid on the team, and I was scoring 5 goals pretty much every time we played. Legendary. They used to love me, and it was just crazy. It was just crazy. And then my mom and dad split up, and then that's when we moved to Maryland, and I stopped playing soccer. Okay. But I did play some baseball. I never played football. Played baseball, played tennis, and played golf in high school. So really just tennis and golf in high school, but I played like in elementary school, middle school, I played baseball.
Okay.
But no football.
That's a little bit of everything though, really.
Yeah. So
what were you best at? Do you still do any golfing?
I do try to get out there and do some golfing. I'm not as good as I want to be, but I don't think anybody is ever as good as they want to be when they play golf. Golf is one of the most challenging sports you could ever play.
True indeed. Like, I mean, I can swing a club, but I got this. It might be a bad habit. I don't know. Maybe it's not a bad habit. I avoid pretty strongly things that I'm really not good at. So like, I don't play much basketball. Like I don't really go golfing much. I got like the back stuff too that complicates it. But I try to avoid like looking silly at any given opportunity. So it tends me away from certain things. But
the best sport I was good at?
Yeah,
actually was bowling.
No kidding.
I was by far a great bowler in my younger days. I averaged 190 when I was only like 14.
Wow.
And as I got older, I remember once I got to like 19, I was traveling. I was going to tournaments in New Jersey
for bowling. Oh, bro, you can't leave this out. No kidding.
and I averaged like in my league. The last time I bowled in a league, I averaged 210. So
Averaging over 200 is like vaguely professional.
It's really good. It's really good. And thanks to my kids, I had to really stop bowling. I haven't really been bowling since. But I've never bowled a 300. I've gotten close. I've gotten 297 twice. I've gotten all strikes.
Oh,
I've gotten all strikes. 2 strikes in the 10th. In the 10th, and then a 7 count each time.
This has happened twice to you?
This happened twice to me.
Bro, do you have nightmares about it?
I don't even want to talk about it.
Bro, that's funny that you mentioned.
There's a few competitive nightmares that I have, and I'm pretty sure we'll get into the other one.
Yeah. I want to hear about the rest of it. Yeah, I go bowling and I go way back. My parents also divorced when I was young. I think you said around 7. Mine were like, I think I was 12. So, you know, how they had it worked out, when my father would visit, we would go bowling on like the Tuesday and then like every other weekend. So it was like bowling was, I feel like kind of like an important part of my childhood. I was in a couple leagues, but like I wasn't quite as competitive, it doesn't sound like.
Yeah, me too. I was in leagues every Saturday. Every Saturday my mom put me in a bowling league because she bowled. And so everything my mom and my dad did, I pretty much did. My mom got into computers. I got into computers.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny. My dad was a mailman. I ended up being a mailman for a short time.
No kidding. Bro, mom's a gamer, dad's a mailman.
Yeah, he was a mailman. I remember my early remembrance of my dad being a mailman. I remember him taking me and my brother to work, and he used to work these high-rise apartments in Virginia. I mean, like, I forgot what floor. It was over 10 floors. Mm-hmm. And he had this room behind the mailboxes, and he had a refrigerator, he had a TV, he had a radio, and he would just go back there and just put the mail in the slots, and he would just have us run up and down the steps or up the elevators delivering packages. I thought it was I was like, man, this job is so plush. Right. I just remember growing up saying, man, I might just be a mailman.
Yeah, this isn't such a bad deal, man. I got my setup. I can relax a little bit. I got my kids doing some of my work for me. This feels pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, but it's not all that I thought it was going to be.
Okay, so then what happened? So now after high school, you said you wound up as a mailman for a short time. Did you go to any schooling after high school? What was the next move after you graduated? What happened next?
So after I graduated high school, I went to Howard University, and that's when I started playing Madden.
Okay.
We was playing Madden for money. It was Madden and spades. That's
what year? What year Madden was this now?
I went to Howard in 91. So whatever it was at that time.
So what system were you guys playing on? Do you recall? I mean, I guess, like early 90s. Do you remember what video game system it was?
It was like, it had to have been still the Nintendo, the Super Nintendo or something.
Hold on a second, Shop. Full pause. I think, because I got young guns in the channel, boys. I got, guys that have been playing Madden for, a couple years. I got, some younger people around. I need to just revisit that point real quick. So you were playing money games on Madden in the very early 90s?
It was on Super Nintendo.
On Super Nintendo. So in the very early 90s, I'm 31 years old. I was born in 1990. You were playing money games in Madden at that point.
Yep.
Okay, that's nuts. So just to give y'all some context, just to give you guys a little bit of
cover.
Okay. Yeah, that's nuts. So in college you're playing money games in Madden. And what did it look like at that point? I imagine it's just like your buddies. Was it guys that you had met at Howard that also enjoyed video games that you were just kind of competing with? Like, what was the scale of it then?
Oh, the scale was a bunch of guys in a room. Mm-hmm. Our dorm had like a rec room. Mm-hmm. Where it had a couple of TVs,
I remember setups like
everything. Yeah. And I mean, we would just huddle around there. And if you wasn't playing spades, then you were playing a game of Madden, or you were waiting to get in either in a Spades game or in a Madden game.
Right. Or you were you were in line to get involved in something. Right.
And man, I mean, people, I bought my books from playing Madden.
No kidding. So you're already winning. You're not just playing this early. You're winning now also.
Well, right. Well, you got to remember. I think I had the fortune of actually playing video games pretty much my whole life going up until then, where guys were coming from Oklahoma and Iowa or some place where they never played video games, or their parents never got them a video game. So
SHOPMASTER, I was sitting here totally taking that for granted, that like just assuming like my college experience, like everyone is coming from at home with their home systems playing with video games. But at that point, like that was not really a thing. You said mom loved her video games, needed to keep, keep some time for herself, so made sure you guys were always set up. So I guess you had been playing more than the average at that point.
Yep, I had been playing more than the average, and so when guys were coming in, and because Madden is football and almost everyone loves football, it was the game to play. It was okay. Let's play some football.
Right.
And guys were eager to learn, even though they had never played a video game
at all.
So it was easy money early on.
Holy cow. Shop. Oh my God. Yeah, man. Yeah. So when I use like a phrase like Madden OG, we are not taking this lightly. So you played through college, you're paying for books at Howard, making a couple bucks just off of great experience. What was your education, and while you were at Howard, what kind of classes were you taking? Like, were you doing anything else? Were you involved in any like frats or doing anything else cool in college?
Nah, so I'll give you my whole college rundown right here.
Hell yeah.
So first year, I wanted to be a doctor, and I enrolled into medical technology, and that first year completely failed and partied my tail off that first year.
Sure.
My mother was so upset because she told me, "Hey, look, you only got 1 year that I'm going to pay for this."
Yeah.
Like, so
it's your dress rehearsal. Don't mess this up.
Don't mess this up, because if you do, I'm not paying for a second year of you going and messing stuff up. Right. And of course, I didn't listen. I went to college, I wilded out, and it didn't happen for me. Okay. So I was like, you know what? So I was like, we gotta find something else. We gotta do something else. And it wasn't. And actually, I end up paying for my second year to go.
Okay.
I worked my tail off that summer to get enough money to pay for my college for the second year.
Sure.
And I remember going to one of my classes. It was a science class, and we had to go over to Howard University Hospital to watch people take blood and everything. And I remember this girl was practicing, taking blood from somebody's arm, and blood just shot all over the place. And I instantly just went nauseous and was like, okay, you know what? This is not it. This is not the
path. Yeah, no, if I see this thing through, it's going to be bad on the other end of this. Like, I'm headed in the direction of way more of this, not less of this. So, okay, maybe got to adapt and adjust. Maybe this is not indeed the call so much.
Yep. So I said, you know what? I love computers. My mom was a computer programmer. I said, I'm gonna go that route. And so I went that route, and that was definitely the route that I needed to do. And I have a degree in computer science, so it's all good.
Beautiful. So all's well that ends well. Winds up kind of working. Bro, isn't that? I feel like that's a recurring theme, at least in my life for sure. That like, maybe not according to plan, but like by the end of the thing, like certainly the way I would rather it have gone. So switch to a degree in computer science. You're making a boatload of money, and paying your way now as well. What happens after that? Did you hop right into work? Obviously, where is your Madden like progression along this? What happened after college then?
So So kind of still during college, I got an internship downtown with this company called CompuWare. And man, and this is really how I end up paying for the rest of the stuff.
Okay.
But man, that was a great experience. Like, if you're in college and you're not looking for some type of internship, man, go look for an internship somewhere. There's plenty of them out there. So I just wanted to mention that. But after all of that, I could not find a job. They wanted me to move to Michigan.
Were you selling computers, working on computers? What?
No,
because computers were also like
programmer.
Okay, got it. Sorry, go on. Yes, sir.
No, so I was a computer programmer. So I created programs that ran systems. In fact, all the Social Security checks was run by a program that I was in charge of and that I maintained for 4 years while I was at OPM.
Wild.
And
that's a huge contribution.
It was a huge contribution, but it was a lot of work because I was on call because if something went wrong with the program, people didn't get their checks.
Right.
And that was not an option.
Right.
So
you said they wanted you to move to Michigan. I don't know if I caught. Did you wind up? Did you actually go?
No.
Got it.
So
Okay.
I ended up not going, and so I had to look for another job, and I couldn't find another job right away. So I found in the listing, I found this thing at the post office that they were looking for a computer programmer, but you had to be in the post office for a year in order to apply. And it was a great job. It did everything that I was doing at OPM. So I said, you know what? We'll just see if we can get hired by the post office, wait a year, and then we'll apply for one of these jobs.
Sure.
So I applied, and that's how I became a mail carrier.
Sure, yeah.
So I applied for a mail carrier, and I was actually delivering mail in Maryland.
Was it what you thought it was going to be? Like, as a kid, like seeing it happen? No. Definitely not, right? It was trash. No. Was it more trash?
Oh my God. There was so much stuff that goes on with being a mailman.
I believe it.
First of all, you have to come in at like 5 o'clock in the morning.
Nuts in and of itself, right?
I never knew my dad. When my dad used to come pick me up to take me to his job, it was always at like 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock.
Yeah, you're all stretched out, like you had breakfast, you're feeling good. Like, here we go, it's kind of for the day.
Yeah. No, you got to go in and you get dumped all this mail and you have to sort it at the post office before you wrap it up and take it out into the streets.
So these guys are really taking ownership of like more of the process than I think they probably get credit for. We think they just hop in the truck and throw the stuff in the mail, but they got to get the stuff in there in the first place, I imagine, right?
Yes.
That's a
And
lot.
that's the whole
it's
thing.
Actually a lot.
I always thought, oh, you go to the post office as a mailman, you pick up the mail, you go out and you deliver it. That's it.
Right.
That's it. I didn't know you come in and you have to sort mail and stuff, and then, oh man, it was a lot. But
so it was not what you expected.
No, it wasn't. And I didn't have my own route. So I came in as a part-time flexible person. So I basically got different routes of like 20 routes. So I'm driving here delivering mail, then I'm driving across town delivering mail, then I'm driving back to this place. It was
no routine, nothing, dude. Yeah, that sounds tough. That sounds like maybe not the best situation.
It was not the best situation, but the one thing I will give it is I did have fun because once you're out there, it's just you. There's no supervisor,
right?
Walking behind you,
right?
You're able to talk to the people on the route. I love the outdoors, so it wasn't a problem. My best time was when it rained because nobody messed with you.
Right.
You were just out there. I mean, I was fully covered, so it wasn't like I was getting drenched, but I would walk and just put the mail in the mailbox, and it was great. And then the other thing is, I always thought everybody had curbside mailboxes where you just you're in the truck and you just put the mail in the mailbox. No, there are people that sometimes you have to walk house to house throughout the whole neighborhood to deliver mail.
Getting in decent shape, I bet, while you're at it. Getting in decent shape, I imagine, while you're at it. So how long did it last? Did you wind up actually circling back to some of these other jobs, or did you stay delivering mail for a little while now?
I stayed delivering mail for a little while there
Okay.
because by the time I got back to those jobs were filled and then nothing else was
Sure.
coming open.
Gotcha.
Many encounters with dogs.
Hmm.
I had to spray a dog, plenty of dogs. This guy, I remember one time I was walking up to this house to, deliver the mail, and there was a big German Shepherd on the porch. And so we're staring at each other, and I'm just looking around like, okay, where am I going to go? There's really nowhere to go.
Checking for escape routes.
So I start to back up, and he charges me, and the first thing I can see is this guy's Corvette. So I jump on top of the Corvette, jump on top of the hood, jump on top of the roof, you
Self-preservation.
know, and the guy comes out, gets his dog, and he tries to sue the post office for me damaging his car.
Oh my goodness gracious.
Not only that, but I refused to that was by the time I had that, that was my own route. So I refused to deliver mail to that street.
I love
And so
that.
all
I
his
love
neighbors-
fuck that guy. Stupid.
all his neighbors were mad as well. So
That's terrible.
That was crazy.
Did it get like washed? Did you ever like hear what happened with it?
No, they didn't pay him. They didn't
Yeah,
pay
good.
him. He had to. They didn't pay him. He had to, come out his pocket and stuff. Let's see. Also, what else? What else happened? There's a lot of things. I could write a book on just post office stories.
I bet,
about-
and I bet you could write a book on Madden stuff too. Or so are you
Oh,
now?
yeah.
Are you now like really dipping into like? Okay, so I mean, this has to also serve as a history lesson for the young guns that didn't know that there was in a Howard dormitory there was money games happening in 1991. Here I am, literally 1 year old, brand new in the world. Half of the kids that spend time in my channel, literally not even a glint in their father's eye at that point just yet. What did like comp Madden like start off as, and were you involved in it right off the rip? Like, were you like, because my impression of you and like everything I've seen is like literally like founding father. Would you say that's like accurate, adequate?
I wouldn't say that as far as like comp Madden, I wouldn't say that would be totally accurate. I was going to tournaments in Virginia and playing, but I wasn't as good as some of these other guys out there. The one thing I will say is that I want to say around 97, around 97, there was a website called maaaannnn.us that I was a part of. Actually, I'm sorry. It was actually 97 and then to 2003. 2003 is when I feel like competitive Madden really kicked off, because that's when you could start to play online against people on PlayStation. You got
Is that so? In 03 you could?
03, yes. That was the first year you got the PlayStation adapter.
Right.
And you could play people who weren't right beside you. You could play people,
But as I
other
remember,
areas of
we
the
needed
world.
like totally new, like additional hardware to make that happen,
Yep.
right? Like it was like a whole extra thing we plugged into it, and then of course, like you got to use the phone line at that point, so you can't take no calls while you're on the game, at least unless you had like two lines or something like that. Man, you're bringing back memories I forgot I had. So in 03, now you have this remote online capability, and then it changes, right? Then now things are a little bit different.
Now things are starting to get real, because there was a lot of stuff going on, especially with Madden 03, a lot of glitches. That's when the people started putting wide receivers at tight ends, and you could not stop it.
Is that when it started? Really? People were already in the lab, as they say, trying to cook up the glitches?
Yes, they were cooking up the glitches. They were cooking up what they called nano blitzes.
Yeah.
Where as soon as you snapped the ball, you were sacked.
And people still use that phrase "nano blitz" as like something. Now a nano blitz is something that gets home in like 2 seconds. Not what you mean though.
No. Look, if you experience nano blitzes in 03, 04, you would say that these blitzes that you get now are not nano blitzes. They're just very fast blitzes. But
it felt a little bit different. So you've been actually nano blitzed then.
Oh yeah.
Okay. And
Oh,
not
yeah.
and no fun, sir, I would imagine.
No fun at all. In fact, so much no fun that there was a website called maaaannnn.us that had a blacklist
Of people who were doing it?
for people who were doing it.
Before you could blast them on Twitter, there was a blacklist. That's wild.
There was a blacklist. There was a blacklist. Not only was there a blacklist, but they had a database of this blacklist, and they had they also were the first people I know that created sort of like scouting of players as well. You could download these papers and actually like fill it out while you're playing. Like, okay, what does this guy do on this down, 3rd and 5? This is what he ran. This guy puts, wide receivers at tight end. This guy nano blitzes. I want to blacklist them. And then you would actually submit this.
Wow. I loved like half of that. And then of course, like dealing with like nano blitzes and all like the glitchy stuff is terrible. But like, it sounds like you had to like use your brain a little bit. Like these folks were scouting. We're scouting their opponents early on.
Definitely scouting. And back in the day, when you go into the lobby, like they had lobbies. It's not like today where you just click, give me a match. No, they had lobbies where you go in and there was a ton of people in there, and you could pick and choose who you wanted to play.
Right.
So if somebody challenged you, you can easily check the blacklist and be like, "Oh no, this dude is on the blacklist." No, decline. No,
oh my
I'm
God,
not playing you.
I completely forgot that aspect of it also. I was a kid at that point, so I was just looking for the scrubs, bro. I was looking for show me the 10 and 128 guy. Let's get a game, man. I feel like I got this guy taken care of.
Yep. So they had that whole aspect.
That's so legendary.
MaddenOnline.us was all about fair play. And, we want to play fair. And back then, fair was just no nano blitzing, no out of position players.
Yeah, like roster gymnastics, like just everything straight.
And just play. And so I developed a lot of friends over there. But again, there are trolls, right? There are trolls. There's always been trolls out there.
Even in
and
03.
The owner at one point, and this is also a time when other sites started popping up, like Madden Mania was a big site back then. And there were some other sites as well. But I definitely miss the lobbies. I really wish they would go back to the lobbies, because that's also where you can play your friends as well.
Right.
Your friends, hey, we always say, hey, meet me in the East lobby, or, stuff like that. So
I remember that stuff.
And it showed you their record. It showed you like their blitz percentage. It showed you a whole bunch of stuff that you don't get now when you play someone.
Right. Yeah, you got like the whole report. Like I remember you could scroll to the right and see all types of stuff. Anything. It's most of the stuff that we got on the leaderboards now, but it was accessible right there in the lobbies. I don't know if kids these days though could survive that. Like I don't know. I feel like that's a little more like raw type of exposure, to the internet and to other people. Because like you said, man, there's also some fucking weirdos out there too. You know what I mean?
Yeah. True. There are some weirdos out there, and I'm pretty sure it's probably easily to get. You can get targeted.
Yeah.
And like you said, they also had. I want to say they had like a fair play rating as well. Maybe not in 03, but I think as the years went on, like there was some kind of rating that showed like how fair you played the game.
Wow.
And so. And that was incorporated like with 4th down. Like, does this guy go for it on 4th down?
Even situational type stats, like really thorough. Then it sounds.
Yeah.
That's super dope.
But anyways, at MaddenOnline.us, the guy was getting trolled, the owner, and he just shut the whole site down. Shut the whole site down.
Oh, the trolls got him? That's actually terrible.
Yeah, the trolls got him. I mean, he had a great website. He had a great thing set up, and he just couldn't take it anymore. He was an older guy, older than me at the time.
Yeah.
And he was just like, you know what? Forget this. I got family, wife, kids. I'm done with this.
I don't need to do this anymore.
And so we had a league on his site. And so I created, because I was a web developer at the time, I created a website called maaaannnn.com and decided to have a discussion board, because that was the thing back then. Every site had a discussion board. And so I created maaaannnwars.com, had a discussion board, and a lot of people from maaaanonnline.us came over to my site.
Easy transition.
Easy transition.
Right.
Easy transition. And word got out and everything. And so I remember I got this email saying that, hey, you're invited to EA's Community Day.
Here we go. Now we're okay.
This was in 2000. This was in 2003.
Okay.
And I totally put that in spam.
You did?
Junk.
No kidding. You thought it was nonsense? Like, that's not really probably what that.
Like,
yeah, right.
No, I've never heard of EA inviting anybody down to a play test or anything. I was like, I said, this is probably what was going on. You know what? Somebody's trolling me. Let me go ahead and junk it.
Because you'd seen a lot of that around, it seems like, around that time period. So it's like, you got to be on your guard anyway. You're like, no way. So you junked it.
So I junked it. About a week later, the owner of Madden Mania, his name was Will Kinsler. He called me. I don't even know how he got my number.
Yeah.
But he said, hey, I know you don't know me, but I'm the owner of Madden Mania, Will Kinsler, Ragzilla. And I was like, yeah, I know you. Hey, how you doing? And he was like, good. Hey, so EA's been trying to invite you down to this community day, and they haven't heard a response from you. And I was like, oh. So I was like, oh, I thought somebody was playing a joke on me.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I thought somebody was playing games on me. So he was like, no, it's real. I was like, can you have them send it back? Maybe I can look in my junk to see if it's still there.
Yeah. But
anyways, long story short, I got invited down. And back then, community days it wasn't a feedback session. Mm-hmm. It was, hey, this is the game that we're about to put out. We want to know what you think. We just want to know what you think. It's not going to change anything. Because the game's already done.
Right.
We just want to know what you think. So this was Madden 04 with Vic on the cover. And they said, okay, now here's what we're going to do. Now that you come down, you've seen the game, you played it, you kind of gave us, what your feedback is, but we want you to go back to your community and talk about it.
Okay.
And so I was like, yo, hell yeah. So I went back to the community, talked about Madden 04.
Did you like the game? Like, do you remember enjoying the game? It was good. Did you have like good things to say at that point?
I did have good things to say, but again, I had limited access.
Right.
It was all new. I love Madden.
Right.
Like, it was like
they were going to get a positive response review out of you regardless, it sounds like.
Regardless.
Yeah,
regardless.
Right. Makes sense.
Regardless.
Yeah, for me too. So you came back, you reported your findings, reported that it was that all, everything looked good.
Yep. And they gave me a free copy.
Beautiful.
They gave me a free copy.
Look at that.
On my way out the door. And I was just totally blown by that situation.
Yeah.
And the fact that this had been going on, the community thing had been going on for 3 years prior to when I came. So I actually got invited to what they call the EA Sports Community Leaders Program at that time.
Oh, SHOPMASTER. So I'm so sorry to interrupt, brother. My earphones clicked out, and I think the stream might have lost you for just 1 second there, too. I apologize, brother. Hold on 1 second. Sorry, guys. Okay, back over here. Sorry, I apologize, Shop. Hold on, let me give that back to the... All right, would you mind giving me a... Okay, beautiful. We got him back. Okay, excellent. I apologize, Shop. Would you do me the kindness, just give me a 30-second rewind there. We were just post this experience with the Madden 04, giving feedback. Everything was good, and I apologize. Sorry to interrupt.
No good. All good. All right, so I didn't know that this had been going on for like 3 years prior to me coming down.
That's the last one I heard.
So they invited me to be a part of this EA Sports Community Leaders Program, and of course I accepted. And back then, it was more of an awareness thing. They wanted us to just go out to the community and spread what's new, how we felt about playing the game, and everything. Again, it wasn't really for feedback, but then as years started going on, it started being more as a feedback thing. Now,
Okay.
grant you, at the same time, in fact, probably a little bit earlier, because I did skip a major part, which is the Madden challenges.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I think that's important to get to.
For sure. Was that in 03 then?
No, it was before '03.
Okay.
I don't know exactly which year it was, but Madden challenges were big and they were huge. And they are something that I think everybody who lived in that era would love for EA to match that. Because I think even with the MCS stuff, I still feel like EA hasn't matched that kind of enthusiasm for MCS.
Well, was it because it was community? Was it because it was community created? Was the Madden Challenge still coming from EA, but it just felt, a little more like they had a little more juice to it? Well, who was producing it at the time? Was it coming from EA?
It felt box office because they had big guys like Best Buy was a big sponsor of it. McDonald's was a big sponsor of it, so they had some big names behind them.
Got it.
And the Madden Challenge is where it would go to different stadiums all across the U.S. and people would compete in Madden. Some of them were 1 day, some of them were 2 days. But you would compete, and then if you win, you get a big prize pot. But it was a lot of people. I'm talking about thousands of people would enter. And so I think that's where a lot of the Madden competitiveness came from. It was, okay, we're done, playing these guys in my neighborhood. Because, again, I was beating everybody in my neighborhood. I was beating everybody in my dorm room. Now is, okay, now how do I stack up against guys that I don't know? Things that you haven't seen.
Right.
And
is this like the photos of like you'll see of like a bunch of guys like sitting like real close, like next to each other at tables with like a bunch of like TV set up? Was like that the type of feeling at these Madden challenges? Is that how they had them set up?
Yes. Yeah, it was. It was because there was still people around you. They weren't as close. We were told to step back and everything. But first of all, I don't think anything compares to underground Madden tournaments.
I bet.
Like,
go hard.
I've seen, man. I remember there was a tournament in Virginia at this convention center, or it was at a hotel, and the whole conference room was nothing but TVs around. Now you got to understand, this is back in the day, so we're not talking about like flat screen TVs. We're talking about
the tube guys.
Tube guys, like tube TVs,
right?
And it was great because everybody gathered around. There was a lot of trash talking. It was always somebody in your ear.
Intense.
They always had a caterer come in, and you could get meals out of a box, which was good because nobody wanted to leave.
Right.
But those games were intense, and I'll be the first to tell you, I did not strive, I did not perform as well as I felt like I could have in those games. Like, again, nobody never heard of me until Madden Nation.
Which came a little bit later. So like chronologically, the Madden Challenge was then just before, well, like maybe at or before this 2003 spot where now, you get the adapter, you could go online. That changes like a lot of the aspiration, that changes what you can do, changes your capabilities as far as who you can play and what you're doing. But now pre-2004, when does Madden Nation, with the 2004 being the game that despite you junking them at first, EA actually winds up, able to travel you out. there. So you got hands on 2004 early. Where is Madden Nation chronologically compared to like where we're at in the shop story right now?
So Madden Nation, I want to say happened, man, goodness gracious. I mean, it feels like forever ago, but it had to been 2000. Madden Nation is like way, because I was married and had kids by the time Madden Nation came around. I want to say 20. I can't even. I'm trying to think of who's on the cover.
That's a hilarious way to think about it, but probably also very effective.
I mean, to me, that was the best way.
So you went Mike Vick to Ray Lewis to McNabb to Shawn Alexander?
Yep. And that's what it was. It was Shawn Alexander.
Okay.
That was the cover.
This was the Madden Nation. Was that the one that was?
I want to say
PS3?
it was. I think it was 2005.
Okay, got it.
Actually, I think it was 05.
Got you.
So
okay.
06 was Alexander.
You must be right. Yeah, I think well, we could look it up. But in any case, so the year like
05,
right.
05 was Ray Lewis.
For sure.
06 was Shawn Alexander.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I remember 05 was the counter to 04's Vic.
Right, because we got the hit stick in 05.
Yep, we had the hit stick and the defensive hot routes.
Right, which was huge.
Which was hella huge. Hella huge.
I just need to. Yep. My brain was not going to let me forget the order of these. I'm trying to pull up like the full
I know.
The full order of these covers.
But definitely Madden Nation was 05. But it was after.
Yeah, McNabb, then Alexander, then Steve Young. Favre.
Steve Young.
Sorry. No. Vince Young,
Steve
apologize.
McNair. Steve McNair. Did I lose you?
Okay, I'm out of there. Sorry, no. Sorry, I was getting audio from that other webpage. I was worried the stream was getting it too. All right, so Madden Nation like 06.
Yeah. It was really 06.
Vince Young. I said Steve Young.
Yeah, Vince Young.
Yeah,
Vince Young. Anyways, so the thing with Madden Nation is that everybody thinks that people were kind of handpicked, but you actually had to put in an audition tape. Now, here's a little secret about my audition tape.
Oh yeah,
I already knew that I was gonna have to come out of my box to be selected, meaning that I'm more of a mild-mannered. I don't get hyped,
sure,
or anything. But I knew that in order to be selected, because of the people that I knew were going to apply, I knew that, my audition tape has to show some of my charisma and show that I can, be a good asset to the show.
Right.
So, I got my kids involved, and one of the scenes that I had on my audition tape was just me going around with a controller and hit sticking my office colleagues.
Okay, like in the realm of like the office linebacker.
Yeah, in the realm of the office linebacker. I have no idea if that came out before the office linebacker or not.
You may well have inspired a SHOPMASTER. We got to get the timing down.
I just remembered that was the new feature, right?
Right.
For Madden 05. And so I'm walking around with my controller, and I remember and the crazy thing is I told my supervisor, and he was hell of excited. He was so excited that I get to audition and that I could go on to a reality show.
Yeah.
even though I wasn't really supposed to tell nobody. But I told him, and I said, "Hey, can you help me create this video? I just
Yeah.
want to do this video." And so I started hit sticking guys in the whatchamacallit, in the
In the
video,
office. Yeah, yeah.
in the office. And I think that won me over. And then I had another skit with like my kids and my wife.
So it was like kind of like a competitive pool. Like you were, you had to do something to get noticed a little bit, it sounds like.
You did. You had to do something to get noticed. And again, like I said, I just didn't think that if I just did a regular video saying, "Hey, my name is SHOPMASTER and I love Madden,"
it wasn't gonna happen.
Blah blah blah. Like that, they would be like, "Yeah, pass."
Thanks. Were you already operating as SHOPMASTER at that point? Like, did you have anything that you went by beforehand, or have you been SHOPMASTER the whole time you've been in this thing?
No. And so before I created Madden Wars, I was actually called Fish Sticks.
Fish Sticks? That doesn't fit, bro. SHOPMASTER super fits. Fish Sticks, I don't think fits.
No, it really didn't. It really didn't. But that's what they call me, Fish Sticks. And then I created a league where we had 4 teams of 10 players, and the name of my team was called the Shop. We had the Alliance, the Shop, the Federation, and some other
grouping.
team.
Right.
Yeah, and so I was the leader of the Shop, so they started calling me SHOPMASTER.
Dope. Dude, we got the SHOPMASTER origin story too. So was that like a faction that was like kind of like your faction, like your team? You were the master of the shop at first, hence SHOPMASTER.
Yep. That's exactly what it was. That league, by the way, was an all-time league, and we used to, so what it was Madden Wars was 4 teams, 10 players. You play against everybody on every other team for points for your team.
It's a lot of
And
games.
every week, the leaders would create a schedule, and you would fight in these stadiums. So we had something called like run only mode.
Love that. Now we're talking, SHOPMASTER. Talk to me.
Where you were like, it would say, okay, player A versus player B, run only mode, New York Giants Stadium. So you had to change your stadium to New York Giants. If you won, you get a flag in that stadium. The first one to get 6 flags wins that stadium. It takes control of that stadium.
That's dope. You guys all like orchestrated this on your own? Like you kind of developed this like system in game mode?
I created a whole website where you go ahead and put in the every time you played somebody.
Bro, we don't have any of this anymore, Shop.
No, I don't. It was a lot of work. It was a lot.
Yeah,
of work.
I can imagine. It sounds like
every time you played somebody, you would get 2 points for your team, and the losing person would get 1 point. So even if you were bad, if you played a lot of games, you would still contribute to your team.
That's not a bad way to keep everybody involved, like regardless of whether you're a demon or not, you know?
Yep. So we had run only mode. We had Starless, which was my favorite mode, where basically you pick a team, I pick a team, I take off one. I tell you to take out 1 defensive player, 1 offensive player, and a random player, and then we play.
Interesting. Bro, this is so creative. This is such a good way to add like value and like replayability to the game, bro. This is so creative.
We had CFL mode where you had to punt on 3rd down.
Wow.
We had so many modes.
That's so funny. The hit stick in the channel just said Shop invented house rules. Shop was doing house rules before it was ever a game mode, before it was even a good idea.
Yep. That's why when they created house rules, like I sent them a list of things that they should do.
Probably stuff you had already done.
I've been doing this for years.
Yeah. All right, so keep going now. So now we're seeing like kind of the Madden and your computer programming merge. Are you still professionally still working as a mailman, doing your thing, working hard, getting some sunshine, and enjoying it? Enjoying it as best you can. But getting creative on the Madden side of it. And is it like now you are SHOPMASTER? I imagine having moved on from Fish Sticks. I like Shop way better. So keep going, bro.
So, all right. So now I'm actually working at the U.S. Census Bureau when Madden Nation sends me a letter back saying, we want you to be on the show and we want you to be one of the first 10 contestants, or I think it was actually 8 contestants.
Huge.
We want you to be a part of the first ones to get on the bus. So I was super stoked.
Yeah.
Super stoked.
Of course. This is huge. This is it. Like,
but they were like, look, you can't tell nobody. You know, you can tell your family because you're going to be away from your family, but you can't really tell nobody like what's going on. You can't tell them what the show's about. You can't do any of this. So we're going to fly you to Redwood City, California, which is the headquarters for EA Sports.
Right.
And we're going to sequester you. So I was like, okay, cool.
This is intense, bro. They're locking you down pre-show.
They locked me down. They said, we're going to pay you this amount of money and send that home. So we're not going to pay you while you're on the bus, but we're going to send that money home to your wife and kids.
Okay.
And the cool thing was that my supervisor, because I did kind of tell him, because I was going to be out of work.
You had to. I mean,
so
yeah,
he was
let's
like,
be realistic.
okay, look, this is like a one-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Here's what I'm going to do. I am going to say that you're in class for 3 weeks. And then any weeks after that, I'll probably do another week of training. And then we'll see if you're not back by then.
Bro,
so,
he really helped you out, huh?
He really helped me out. So I kind of was like double dipping because I was still getting paid for work and I was getting paid for this show. So
super dope.
Shout out to my supervisor.
Hell yeah,
Dwayne.
right. Hell yeah,
So-
right. Dwayne, shout out to Dwayne. Love Dwayne.
Love Dwayne. So they fly me out to California. They put us in these hotel rooms and away from anybody. So I have no idea who else is on the show. No idea who else is on the show. So they say, okay, we're going to take a bus. They brought us all together. Actually, they didn't bring us together. They wanted to make us meeting a
part of the thing, like something they could capture.
Thing.
I see.
Right. They wanted it to be organic. So they never got us into the same room. So they let the first guy in. And then they let the next guy in. Now again, we didn't never see each other, right?
Right.
So I just remember I was like the third or fourth person in, and I got my bag, and I'm rolling my bag, and I come in, and Sherm Sticky, who was one of the most outgoing guys on the show, is just like, who is this? And I was like,
not like
I'm
that.
SHOPMASTER. And they were like, who? I said, SHOPMASTER. They was like, oh my God. Like, and then what you don't see, because that actually was on the show, but what you don't see is them just being like, dude, we ain't never heard of you. We ain't never seen you. You probably ain't never won nothing.
Were they like names
how-
themselves though? Like, was there already like communities popping up? Like, those are some, like, were you kind of expecting to see those guys?
Yes. I
Okay.
was expecting to see those guys.
Okay, got it.
'Cause
But
those guys
they
were
were not
top guys.
expecting to see you.
They weren't expecting to see me.
Interesting.
But I had heard of actually all of those guys except for maybe 2.
Okay.
But even the 2 that I didn't know were 2 guys that were like at tournaments on the West Coast.
Okay.
So it wasn't like they weren't unknown. I was really the only unknown guy on the show.
Interesting. And
so-
what was the experience like on the show? Now you got to make a name for yourself. SHOPMASTER's in the channel. How did it wind up going?
So I had to make a name for myself, and I remember my first goal was I can't be the first one off this bus.
Can't.
There's no way
Right.
I can be the first one off this bus.
Right.
Like, so they actually brought us into the big theater at EA Sports, and we played our first game. Now, mind you, I only played PlayStation.
Oh no,
We
what
were
was this
playing
on?
Xbox.
Nah.
So I was already at a disadvantage. All these
Yeah.
guys played on Xbox. I actually won my first game against Action Jackson,
Let's
who
go.
was a very talkative trash talker, and was like, yo, I am not letting this bum who nobody has heard of. beat me. Like this is not going to happen.
Shouldn't have been talking
This
shit.
is not going to happen. And it happened. It happened.
So you make good on your goal of you got a win.
Well,
you were on the program. You got a dub.
Right, I got a dub, but that wasn't the like he didn't end up getting kicked off the bus right then.
Right.
So it was like a tournament, and then the last two people played to who was going to play to keep their spot on the bus.
I see.
Anyways, that evening we went back to the hotel. They still had us sequestered.
This is so wild, man. We're like a serious competitive environment.
It was a serious competitive environment. I was like, yo, there is no way. After watching everybody and the confidence of everybody, I was like, yo, I got to step up my game. But how? I don't have an Xbox. Like,
Right.
Like, what am I going to do? So they had us in these rooms, in these hotel rooms, and they would call us every 2 to 3 hours to make sure that we were good if we needed anything. Because they took our phones. So we didn't have any phones.
Oh my, bro, this is so much more than I was expecting that it would be. So you guys aren't like messing around, like it's like you cannot communicate with anybody, because this is like a major production. Like they want to make sure you're not spoiling for anybody, I would think, right?
Yes, that's exactly what it is. They didn't want us calling our friends. They didn't want us spoiling anything. And
that's
they really hadn't. Like eventually they'll pair us up into rooms where we sleep with somebody else once we get on the road.
Right.
But right now, this was the first show, the first day, actually. This was the first day. We had to compete on the first day.
That's so wild, man. Hop right into the fire.
I had no clue what I was doing. So I had to call the bellhop. I called the bellhop up to my room. I said, yo, I will give you $20 if you just stay in this room and just answer the phone and just say you're good. Because that's what they call and say, hey, are you good? And I say, yes, I'm good. All right. Click. So I said, that's all you have to do. I will give you the $20. My stupid tail gave him the $20 first. So,
oh no, Shop, not that, dude.
I gave him the $20 first. I climbed out the balcony window. Down the staircase outside, ran to Best Buy, purchased an Xbox and the Madden, got back, had to climb
back to the balcony,
the staircase, only to get back into my room to find that there was no bellhop. So I was like, oh shit, I'm screwed. 5 minutes later,
sleeping, right? You're sleeping? You were sleeping probably. Sorry, go on. I went into my seat.
5 minutes later, they call and say, hey, we need you downstairs in conference room A immediately. I was like, oh shit, they found out. I was like, oh no. I was like, I blew this opportunity already. Happens the fact, they call me down there just to ask me some questions, and then they send me back. So I was able to sneak out of my room and get an Xbox without them knowing.
Oh my God, bro. My heart was racing for a second. I thought it was over.
I thought it was over too. I was like, man, maybe somebody saw me. Maybe they came up and saw that the dude and asked where I was.
Yo, I would have seen that bellhop a little bit later and been like, you owe me $20, bro.
I did see him a little bit later. He was like, hey, I'm sorry, I had to go. They called me down to do something. And I was like, all good. I think I got away with it. But had I not, we would have had problems.
Holy cow. So you got the Xbox. Did you get to get some reps in? How often were you playing now? So you got it in the room. You're good. Disaster averted. You got called down to the principal's office, but turns out it was about something else that happened on the playground that day. It wasn't about anything that you did here. So you got some reps in.
Got some reps in. Felt really good. Now, the thing with Madden Nation that a lot of people don't know about is that they have rules. So everybody represented a team and really a player. So I actually represented the Seattle Seahawks. I got to meet Shawn Alexander.
Dope.
So I forgot all about that. They flew me to see Shawn Alexander, meet him, got a jersey from him. He signed it.
Because you were like the Seahawks representative.
Yeah, Seahawks representative. He took me to his house. We chilled. We talked. I took a big dump in his bathroom.
Yo, big stories. Hell yeah, right.
Yeah.
They really had you all over the place, but again, I said it before, this is a much larger production than I thought it was maybe at first.
Yeah, it was totally huge. Like and looking back, they left out a lot of video that never happened. Like, I mean, that they never showed.
Right.
A lot of video they never showed.
Some good stuff. Anyway, did they miss out on?
Huh?
Did they miss out on some good stuff?
Oh, they missed out on a lot of good stuff. Like, I wish I had access to all the stuff that they didn't show. Like, we went to a laundromat and like messed up the whole laundromat. Like, we had studs everywhere. We actually got kicked out of that laundromat. We went roller skating. They never showed that. We went skiing. They never showed that. Like, it was a lot of stuff.
You guys did a lot, bro.
They had us everywhere. Wow. But hold on, quick thing about Shawn Alexander is, so Shawn Alexander was really cool, and so they didn't even film the part where I went to his house, but I went to his. He actually called me up when I went back to the hotel because he had to leave early, and he said, "Hey, you want to hang out some more?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." Like, he was a cool guy.
Yeah.
And if you remember, like, Shawn Alexander was on top of his game that year.
Right.
That year he was one of the, if not the leading rusher in the league that year.
Right.
So we went back to his house, met his wife, his kids, great family, beautiful outside. And I remember there was a little rumbling in my stomach. And I was just like, oh. And I was like, I should just ask to go home, right? Go back to the hotel right now. And I was just like, nah, man, I'm having too much fun. I'm, having a connection. Like, how many times do you get to sit at a superstar's house at his pool?
It doesn't happen.
And just chill and just talk football and video games.
No, it's
like
no.
That doesn't happen. So
Sure
I wasn't ready to let this go.
Right. Wouldn't be either. So, you got to figure this out.
Right. So I politely excused. I said, "Where's the restroom?" And he was like, "Oh, you can use the one, down the hall." So I was like, "Okay." So I went down the hall, went into the bathroom, sat down, and I was like, "Oh man, this is gonna be bad. This is gonna be bad." And looking back on it, it reminds me. It reminds me. Has anybody seen Dumber and Dumber? Mm-hmm. When the guy went to the bathroom, and he let out a massive dump, and then it got he couldn't flush the toilet.
Yeah. Nightmare fuel.
Nightmare. So, luckily that didn't happen to me.
Oh, thank God.
The crazy thing is, I actually flushed the toilet before I sat down just to make sure that it went down.
You had to take a test run. I don't blame you. I think that's smart, bro.
It's something that I've always done at people's house. Like, just go ahead and flush the toilet as soon as I get in, to make sure everything goes down. Everything's
functional. Okay. You know what I mean? I know what I'm getting into. It's a situation I'll be able to get out of too. I know this for a fact. No, I've tested it.
Exactly.
That's genius. So, that is genius. That might be the biggest mental no, it's not, but I'm taking that away for sure. Take it for a test run one time. And and the deed was done, deed was done.
Went back out there. We had a great time. I had a lot of fun in Seattle.
That's legendary.
But so back to the show, back to Madden Nation. The first elimination was my guy NJ Rod. NJ Rod was a known Madden tournament director. He played Madden as well, but he was a known Madden director. And I remember us going out to breakfast that morning of his elimination game. Mm-hmm. And so we talked about some things, and I think they missed out on this too. Like, it was a lot of great knowledge about where this game is and the whole culture. Like, he's the one that was like, Madden is not just a video game, it's a culture.
Yeah.
Like, Madden is more than just playing football video game.
Right.
Like, there are real strong ties with friends over this game. Friends fight over this game. You know, it's engraved in a lot of people's lives, just centered off of Madden. And so we had a great discussion, and then he went out there and sold the bag and lost and got booted off the bus.
Dang it, man.
And somebody else came in. So if
I
you
mean, he
haven't
could have the
watched-
right idea and still take L's. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. So if you don't know how this happens is the loser of the tournament between all the guys on the bus fights for his chance to stay on the bus. And so he had to go against this other guy from San Diego. The San Diego guy won. So the San Diego guy comes on the bus, he gets off.
I see.
So
Okay.
then we go to Denver. And this is where my demise got me. So actually, hold on. Actually, I was the third person because Action Jackson got booted off as well.
Okay.
He got booted off in Arizona.
So
We went to Arizona. The next episode was Arizona. The next state was Arizona.
and it's this same like sequestered, like super locked down, like, you know.
No, so in Arizona, they put us up in a hotel, but they had two of us together, and we were able to mingle. This is when they started letting us go places and filming it, and it was much more open now.
Gotcha.
I think the initial sequester was they just didn't want us talking because they wanted to get to know everybody before everybody sort of got together.
Right. And capture some of these interactions that you guys were having, like initially, like they said, organically, rather than, you know, have it be a conversation that you guys had already had.
Yep.
Okay,
exactly.
that makes sense.
Exactly. So we went to Arizona. I actually was roommates of Action Jackson. And again, this was the first guy I beat. In that tournament, I ended up beating my guy, The Gift, and so I was safe. And then Action Jackson lost. He had to play Pretty Tony, Pretty Twan, and he lost. So Pretty Boy Twan was one of my roommates.
Okay.
And this guy was hilarious. I love this guy. I saw this guy. I actually saw him 2 years ago at a Madden tournament.
Oh,
he
cool.
He is still competing. They call him Pretty Boy.
Wow.
He is still competing. He was the funniest guy. I remember one time, and this might not be PG safe, but
Are you good?
we were in the room, and he was like, "Yo, Shop, I'm about to go hook up with this girl," and I was like, "For real?" He was like, "Yeah."
Word?
I said, "Do you want me to leave?" He was like, "Nah, it's kind of late. You don't have to leave. Just act like you're asleep."
We going to college. We taking it back to college now, huh?
Yeah, that's what it reminded me of.
Yeah, yikes.
And so I was like, okay.
Yeah.
So I'm in there and I'm hearing them come in. So I quickly just put the cover over my head and I turn it right. And so I hear him and this girl getting it on, and she's like, "Are you sure he's asleep over there? Is there somebody over there?" And he's like, yeah, that's my roommate. He's good. He's sleep. Yeah, we've been sleep. Man, let me tell you, he is knocked out. So he like picked something up and like threw it at me.
I'm leaning into this.
It took everything in me not to turn around and be like, "Yo, come on now."
Yeah, for real. I'm down to do this, but just get it over with and come on.
Right. So anyways, he ends up smashing the girl, and I'm just like, I'm over there in agony because I'm just like, oh my god, I'm missing my wife at this point.
Yeah, right. I don't want to be here for this. Bro.
I don't want to be here.
Get me out of here. That's a real one though, Shop. That'll just be like, yeah, man, I'll just be asleep then. That's fine. That's a real one for one of your buddies. That's good stuff.
Yeah. So it was, but there were things that happened on that trip that I will remember for the rest of my lives.
It sounds like such an incredible and like a unique experience. Like there's no basis for that. Like you know, and it like that doesn't even happen anymore. Like this type of thing. You know what I mean?
It doesn't. And the thing about it, looking back on it, I didn't enjoy it as much as I thought I should have. You know, looking back on and becoming the person that I am now, because everybody was young.
Yeah.
So even I was young, even though I was probably the oldest of the crew. I think I was maybe like 24, 25 at that time.
Okay.
But everybody else was like 20, 19,
Right.
21. So, but I didn't enjoy it as much as I did. And I remember the producers saying, hey, Shop, you got to give us something. You got to, be more. They wanted me to show more enthusiasm or exuberance when I was playing the game. Which I get, because that it's a production. They got to put on a good show. But that just wasn't me.
Right.
But I could have been more outgoing and more talkative and stuff. But you don't realize it until it's in your rear view.
It's also there's so much pressure on you. There's been so much it's like you also are focused on so many different things. Not least among them being the fact that like I got to try to win this game that I'm playing right now. Also, like I got to be locked in.
So I'm locked in, and some people like Sherm can talk and trash talk and look at you while they still playing and are really way better. I would say at that point, way better than I was at the game.
Gotcha.
Again, they were used to Xbox. I had just touched an Xbox controller for the first time,
right,
like 3 days ago.
Right.
So it wasn't a lot. So after that, we end up going to Denver.
And this is the stop that we got that bears some explanation here.
Yeah, this is the stop.
Okay.
And I remember that morning. Now, here's the thing. I forgot about the rules.
Yeah.
You could not use a team that you already used. You could not use the team that you represented. So I couldn't use this. You only could use the team that you represented if you were in an elimination game.
Okay.
The other thing is that you couldn't move around people on defense either.
Oh, like positional subs? You had to leave just everything as it was?
You had to leave everything as it was, but also you couldn't move player pre-snap. Like that was one of their rules. Yes.
No kidding.
Nobody realized that, because when you're watching the game, they really don't show that much of the pre-snap. Yeah. They show once the ball is snapped and everybody's moving.
Right.
But that was one of the rules, that you couldn't do that.
Were people setting up nano blitzes because of that? Was that like part of the thing?
And that's one of the reasons why they didn't want it done, is because people were setting up these blitzes that would have just would have been bad to watch. We watch games now for MCS and we're just like, here we go,
Right.
But for a show, I kind of understand. You don't want, because that would what everybody would do. Everybody would just set up those nano blitzes,
right? And
it would be the same thing over and over again.
Yeah, and that's boring. Yeah, I mean, bro, even now MCS could take a cue from that. Like, the fact that the televised Madden is like some of the, we understand why everything is happening like it's happening, but like the Madden that made it on TV, like watching it, kind of removing myself from the game was like, bro, this is painful. This is boring. It's roll out, throw it away for 3 downs, go for it on 4th, find a low ball laser. Like, I don't know. So they're trying to negate that, but that is wild. You can't move around anybody pre-snap. So it's got to be like stock. That's like a whole different way to play the game almost.
That's a whole different way to play the game.
Right.
And so, but again, these guys, and that's one thing that I tell people all the time, is that you guys, like a lot of casuals will always watch MCS and be like, oh, they're only good because they can do this. But if they couldn't do this, they wouldn't be good. And I keep telling people, like, these Madden pros are very smart. They know how. They do what works, but they also know how to play the game.
Right. For sure. Yeah.
You can say, oh well, if he didn't have this playbook, oh, he would be trash. Or if he didn't run bunch, he wouldn't be able to do nothing. No, that's not true. Like he would still put up 60 against you.
Right, every time. And it's the players, it's the people who are the loudest, like, oh, well, he couldn't do X, Y, Z. Like, bro, he could run goal line on offense and defense, and it would be, you'd hate it. You'd lose by 50.
You still lose by 50. So,
every time.
So I say that to say that these guys adjust, you know, and they adjusted pretty well after that first couple of days of playing and saying, okay, we can't move anybody. Okay, what can we do? Mm-hmm. And so I remember that morning getting up and being like, okay, who are we going to use and how are we going to make this work? And things just didn't fall for me. And I could tell right from the first game in the tournament that this was going to be difficult. Mm-hmm. And I end up losing, and I end up having to go fight for my stay on the bus. Mm-hmm. I remember them walking me out to meet the guy that I was supposed to play. And they had me stand in front of this store, and a car was going to pull up, and this is what they said. They said the car's going to pull up and your challenger is going to step out. And then both of y'all walk back into where you're going to play. And so I remember sitting there thinking, okay, who's going to come out of this car? Mm-hmm. I said, it's probably going to be like Big Gene. Big Gene, well-known Madden player. Like, he's just going to be way too good. I'm going to have I was thinking of all these names of players that I knew were good, that were going to be on the bus, because there were rumors already circulating. Oh, this dude got picked. This dude is waiting in, Green Bay, or this dude is waiting in Pennsylvania to get on the bus. So rumblings had already started forming on who the next guy was going to be, or who was going to be. Mm-hmm. So out steps Pac-Wolf. Now, history behind Pac-Wolf. Pac-Wolf was invited down to Community Day maybe 3 years after I had been invited.
Okay.
So if I was, the next year. It was the next year. Okay. He was invited the next year. We played so many times at that first Community Day against each other, and he never won. Never won.
Okay.
The next year we played, never won. So when he got out of that car,
you're excited.
I'm excited. I'm laughing.
Yeah.
I'm laughing.
Bagged. It's over.
Because I'm just like, yo, I'm back on the bus, baby.
Yeah.
I'm back on the, and they captured it too. They captured me being like, ha, Pac-Wolf, okay. So I'm like, okay.
They probably love that.
They loved it. They loved it. So we're playing, and back then they didn't change like the weather or anything. So it happened to be, I want to say it was snowing. In our game. And man, I got some of the worst luck.
Yeah.
I got some of the worst luck that game. I couldn't complete anything. Shawn Alexander was running hard for me. He was really the only thing that was working.
Right.
And I would remember I was up by 1, and all I had to do was run out the clock. So between like plays, they would have you come to the camera and say, tell them what you're going to do. And I said, hey, I'm about to run this into the ground with Shawn Alexander. We just going to run the clock out, and we going to win this thing.
Yeah.
Still painful. I run the ball. Shawn Alexander fumbles.
No.
He picks it up. I tackle him. He kicks a field goal and wins the game.
God, bro.
I never been so distraught. The crazy thing is that everybody in that room, like the cameraman, the lighting guy, the producers, were all stunned. Like all stunned. I don't know if they had bets on the side or whatever.
Right.
But they just came up and was like, yo, Shop, I can't believe you lost, man. I can't believe it. I was like a fan. I think because I was the oldest, I was a fan favorite of all the producers and the director and everything. Like,
and you guys had made some stops at this point. So like you had like, some traction. You had, you had been on the show for a little while. So I'm sure people were sad about it, bro. I'm fucking sad about it, hearing about it all these years later.
Yes. And that's when DDA was created.
Oh my God! Was SHOPMASTER the first installation of DDA? They knew that he was going to need some help after all these previous games that you guys had played. They had to throw him a bone, I guess.
The crazy thing is that if you ask Pac Wolf to this day, he'll tell you, if we played 100 times, I would beat him 98. And
Is
those
that
other
so?
two would be fluke.
Oh, that's so painful.
We talk pretty much at least like once a year.
That's cool. I mean, a shared experience like that, I'm not surprised. And especially you said he's like even just a couple years ago, still on the competitive scene a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty cool.
Well, no, that was Pretty Boy.
Sorry.
Pac-Wolf.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Pac Wolf actually got into a bad motorcycle accident like 2 years after Madden Nation and like lost a limb, and so he's been struggling playing, but he's got all these crazy controllers, and it doesn't stop him from competing. Like, he's so inspirational.
I love that, and I love all the work that they're doing with the. So I'm sorry to interrupt. I apologize if I've done that, Shop. There's like a 1 to 1.5 second delay on our audio, so sometimes with my guests, I feel like I'm talking over them, and I apologize. I was just going to comment that I love all the work that they do with the adaptable. I think adaptive is the name for controllers. Like, limb differences. These kids are getting access like they've never had before. I think it's super dope.
Yeah, and I know he's been involved in a lot of those, especially for Xbox, a lot of those adaptive controllers. I know he's been personally involved in those. So again, he's an inspiration. Like, every time I talk to him or I see him post, man, I just be like, man, such an inspiration that you're still playing and you're still trying to compete and like, he'll post videos of him winning at Madden, and I'm just like, with one hand,
hell yeah,
and a foot, and I'm just like, wow, that's just
so motivational,
remarkable.
Super dope. So the Madden Nation, bro. I mean, you got a good couple stops on this thing, like you've alluded to. It's an experience. It sounds like that's not soon gonna leave you. And I mean, what a dope story to tell. The James Bond sneaking out of the hotel to grab the Xbox so you can get reps. I mean, among the whole thing, love that. So now, fast forward a little bit. When did streaming become okay? Also, I mean, I don't want to skip around at all here. Also, I think maybe the only guy I've ever heard of that literally Twitch just hit up and was like, hey, do you guys do you want a check mark? Which is the way I kind of understood it happening much later, which is unheard of and ridiculous. But if you would, chat, and shout to my man Initial D with the big Ray. Guys, I got an honored guest, one of the Madden OGs in our community, on the show right now. So hello to all the first time chatters, and what up from SHOPMASTER. Please excuse me, I don't have my eyeballs on the chat, but I just wanted to point that out. Initial D, man, thank you kindly, brother. That's a huge rate of 36, and welcome everybody to the channel. This is my man. So my man, SHOPMASTER in the channel. So sorry, I wanted to make sure I called that out. When did enter streaming into SHOPMASTER's life? What does this look like, man? Start from the beginning of the stream adventure.
Oh man, so the beginning of the stream adventure was just basically, hey, I'm gonna see if I can stream. Like, I'm a big, so again, I was being invited to be a community leader from EA. Ever since 2003, all the way up to 20 until now, actually, till now.
Yeah, the whole time.
The whole time since 2003. So I think it was like maybe 2015 is when, or 2016, even when it was like Justin TV.
Was that the first platform you were on? Were you on Justin TV?
So Justin TV was what eventually turned into Twitch TV.
Right, yeah, that's the history lesson I've learned. But I only found Twitch maybe 2 years ago, so much different.
So I don't think I ever was on Justin TV, but when they switched over to Twitch is when I tried to do my first stream, and I just streamed like my franchise games because I'm a big franchise guy. Yeah. I love franchise mode. And that was actually something that I moved into, as far as like, I was always a competitive guy. Mm-hmm. But I saw the need for franchise and the need for there to be a voice for all the franchise guys out there. And so with that voice being needed, I said, you know what, I'm gonna turn all my attention to franchise. And I sort of like got, trying to dig into EA on how important it is to to sort of just revamp and continue to grow their franchise features.
Sure.
And so when Twitch came out, I decided to do some franchise streams and stream that. I wasn't really serious about Twitch, actually. Like, I really wasn't serious. I had a lot of stuff going on. I had the website. I was doing YouTube. Like, I was doing YouTube a lot. So I really wasn't into streaming not until maybe like 3 or 4 years ago. And then really only last year is when I was like, okay, let's try to be consistent with this thing. That was really my only thing, is that I was never consistent. I would stream one day and then you might not see me for like a week or so, or 2 weeks. And then I'll stream again, and then I'll have pop-up streams. But
sure,
to me, it wasn't really what I was concentrating on. I was more or less concentrating on my YouTube and just concentrating on just being a voice for the people. But I saw this as another avenue to be that voice.
Yeah.
And so probably like maybe 2 or 3 years ago is when I really started getting serious about streaming and creating a schedule and saying, okay, we're going to be a little bit more consistent on this platform.
Right. And I mean, fast forward to now, I'm sure it happened gradually as these things do, but the branding is so recognizable, the emotes, like we have like, a SHOPMASTER experience of being in your stream and the events you do, and the SHOPMASTER trivia and the, community nights where it's, you're trying to take some of Shop's money, and it's, turned into what it is now. How did this partnership thing happen to you? Because this seems from what little I know, and I'm looking forward to hearing the full story, it literally sounds like, in the only instance that I've ever heard of this in my limited experience, Twitch hit you up. You didn't have to call them, they called you. Is that indeed what happened there?
That is definitely exactly what happened.
Okay, that's
but
nuts.
It's not that I didn't apply. So
sure.
I remember applying and getting denied twice. And I said after the second time I got denied, was like, you know what? I'm not going to worry about it. I'm not going to worry about it. It's not nothing that I can probably control. You know what? Let's just go ahead and stream away, keep doing the things that we're doing. And maybe eventually I'll reach out and try to get partnered. And I wasn't even, the crazy thing is I was like, this year is probably going to be a wash as far as being partnered. So, we'll start off next year just as strong, and we'll continue all the content, and we'll try to grow. And I definitely have some ideas out there that are going to pan out in this next this year, going into next year. That I can't talk about right now, but
okay.
All of a sudden I get an email from Twitch, and I'm thinking it's I get emails from Twitch all the time. Hey, this guy has followed you, or all of this stuff. And so I opened it up, and it said, hey, we've been looking at your channel for a while, and we noticed you've been doing some good things. Have you ever thought about being partnered? And I was like, what?
What?
Huh? Have I ever thought about being? I applied twice, like 6 months ago.
Y'all still have my paperwork. What do you mean, have I thought about it? I've thought about it at least 2 times, but presumably maybe a couple more. Yeah, I have. Thanks for asking. So what are we doing?
And so the email said, hey, just reply back with if you're interested, and then just wait a couple of weeks. Don't tell anybody until it's official, and congratulations.
No kidding.
So I replied back and said, I'm interested.
Yes, please. Yeah, go ahead and throw me that check mark if you'd like, please.
Look, I started getting flashbacks of the EA thing, so I was like, maybe I'm being trolled.
Right. Well, you weren't getting trolled last time.
That's true, and I wasn't getting trolled last time, but I was thinking I was getting trolled. I was like, I've never heard of them actually reaching out to somebody and saying, hey, do you want to be partnered?
No,
I've never heard that before.
I have also never heard of that, and so I know. All right, so fair enough. You can't give us, what you're really chefing up in the kitchen there, and that's okay. But what about how do you feel about the place that your channel is in now? Like, what kind of maybe like a more vague sense? I mean, I gotta ask the questions that people want to know the answers to. Shop, yeah, I want to know what you got going on, but if you don't want to tell me what you got going on, like what's what's the direction? What are a couple things we can see from you and the channel and the plan moving forward here into 22?
Look, I'm all about community interaction. I love the community that I've built. Just like every streamer, you love the guys that come into your stream that you can just kick it with. Again, I'm not like too many people call themselves Madden pros. I don't even call myself a Madden pro, and I feel like I've been in this thing for a long time.
Sure have.
But I just love competition, which is why I created that community challenge night where you can battle me in Madden every Tuesday night, and if I lose, I give up $10.
Yeah,
like it's
awesome.
It's a way for me to still be competitive while also giving back to the community that has given me so much. And when I say community, like this whole Madden community, I'm not just talking about SHOPMASTER TV's community. I'm talking about the whole Madden community. I've done some things in my lifetime because of Madden that I would have never thought that I would have been able to do. I've gone to the ESPYs twice. I went to Hall of Fame games and met celebrities. I gotta tell you, did you ever hear the story of how I almost threw up on Eric Dickerson?
No, but now that I know the story about you pooping in at Shawn Alexander's house, I definitely want to hear the story about Eric Dickerson for sure.
All right, real quick.
Hit me with
EA invited a bunch of us community leaders to the Hall of Fame game in Cleveland, Ohio. And during the morning of the game, we were going to have breakfast with Eric Dickerson and, oh my goodness, who's the other person? I can't even remember the other person. I cannot remember the other person. It wasn't Barry Sanders. It was a wide receiver. It wasn't like I don't even think it was a Hall of Fame wide receiver. Anyways, Eric Dickerson was there.
Yeah.
But the night before, Good Game Bro, who is another fantastic streamer, he streams on Facebook gaming. But we were at the bar of the hotel just drinking and playing Madden. The new Madden hadn't even come out. We were playing the new Madden on the bar TV all night before.
Flex.
We were just drinking. Right. We were flexing hard.
Hell yeah.
Like people were coming in like, oh my God, what is this?
Yeah.
Oh, this is just the new Madden. It'll be
out. We just got a couple days early. Crazy. That's nuts.
So, I mean, and the bartenders just, shots after shots after shots.
Nice.
I woke up that morning and I was hungover. Like, I was like, the community manager, Justin Duell, called me and said, "Hey, Shop, where you at? We're about to begin." He said, "Man, I got a great seat for you too." So I was like, "All right, cool. Yeah, I'll be down." My head was spinning.
Oof.
I think I just like gargled some mouthwash, just jumped in some clothes and went downstairs. They had continental breakfast, so it was some egg, sausage, but a lot of fruit and stuff.
Okay.
And so I'm sitting at the table, my head's down, like really on the table, like I'm half asleep. So this guy comes over to me and he puts his hand on my back. And I felt like my whole back was going to cave in, first of all.
It was a mitt. That's a mitt on your head. You got the...
Yeah, it was. It was.
You felt that?
Yeah, I felt it. I felt it. I look up and it's Eric Dickerson and he sits right beside me. Now he's got a plate of eggs and sausage. And man, that aroma just came to me.
Oh no.
And he said, "Hey, how are you?" And I was like, and I run out the room into the bathroom, just make it to the toilet by that much. And I threw up everything I had the previous night.
Eric Dickerson's breakfast made you throw up. Almost on him, narrowly avoided. Did indeed make it to the bathroom, though.
Did indeed make it to the bathroom.
W. To W.
I ran back upstairs brushed my teeth, came back down. They were in the middle of talking and everything.
Oh, shut up. It's a dark day.
Eric Dickerson is a savage. He went in on Marshall Faulk at that time. Oh my goodness. He went in on Marshall Faulk.
On Marshall Faulk of all guys?
Yes.
Oh man.
Like, I mean, Marshall, it was crazy. Anyway, so I sat back down. I told him I'm so sorry. He was like, I understand. I've had those nights. I've had those nights. I've had those mornings also, specifically.
Yeah.
He was like, are you good now? He was like, because I can find another seat.
Right.
I was like, no, you're good.
No, it's good, man. It's great. I'm glad to talk to you. Super dope. Did you guys get to, chatting a little bit after a moderate puke and rally there then?
Yep. So we chatted. He actually signed a football for me, and I took a picture with him as well.
Oh, super dope.
So that was great.
Man, this Madden adventure has had you crossing paths with some legends, man, all over the country. Experiences that it sounds like you've remembered ever since very well, too. This has been a heck of a ride for quite a long time now, also.
Yes, and that's the thing. Like, it's quite a long time, and man, I don't want to give it up, but I know like my time has run its course, and it's time for other young bucks to get into that. I used to be, it's funny, I used to, like a couple years, 2 years back was like the first year that I didn't get invited down to EA, and a brother got in his feelings a little bit.
I don't blame you, bro. It's a long relationship that you've had with them.
Yeah, and then I had to take a step back and be like, yo, come on. Nobody has ever, I've seen so many people come and go. Like, nobody has ever been good with EA as long as I have.
Right, yeah.
And so just knowing that and stepping back, like, I can appreciate the things I've had and the moments I've had, so.
And in that way, I mean, where do you
meet Shaq?
Yeah.
Vernon Davis, everything. Like,
that's nuts, Shop. Where do you think the game is at? Like, now, you mentioned that, I don't know if I necessarily agree with you, but just in your own words, you mentioned that maybe, it's time for the next generation, however you want to call it. Do you think the game is in good hands? Are you worried right now about do you have any reason to worry about the community or the game or the direction? Are you seeing anything that you do like, or maybe anything that you don't like?
As far as like the direction of the game, I think look, I've always been one of those who the game is always better than last year's game. Like, I don't care how much you
agreed.
Like, you can dislike certain aspects.
Agreed.
But nobody wants to go back to the old. It's sort of like this year. People are complaining this year, oh, this is terrible. I'm just like, dude, do you remember last year when a dude won the whole MCS by just running the ball? Mm-hmm. And remember how bad armbar was at the beginning? Like, there's no way you want to go back to that. I feel like this year was a lot more balanced. I feel like, and remember last year you couldn't throw if you were getting blitzed to oblivion. There was no time to throw. This year they fixed the releases so that you can throw a little bit better. Like, there is no way that last year's game, you might have had more fun last year's game, but this year's game is much better. It's much better in my eyes. And I say that pretty much almost every time a new game comes out. After a while, after it soaks in, this next game, Madden 22, is going to be better than Madden 21.
Yep.
Of course, there's going to be things that you don't like that you have to get adjusted to. But once you take a look at the totality of the game, you'll say, okay, you know what? You're right. You're right, Shop. This year's game is better than Madden 22.
And that's why I asked. And that's why I asked to get like a perspective like that, because like, what's the saying? Like the squeaky wheel gets the oil. So like, we also always have to remember that, the folks with something negative to say or, something to complain about will also, be more and louder of the voice than, you know, the guys that are of the mind like, yeah, it's just better. Like, yeah, of course you're always going to be able to complain about something. Even in, you know, the running Madden 20, you still had, I was one of them. You could still complain about rollout corners being OP at that point. And it's like, you know, we can really, and we do, as consumers. I think it's our right. I think the community can tend to overdo it sometimes, just based on, like, I mean, like, how good can it really be? Like, I mean, it's got to be close to as good as possible based on the, you know, just the sheer mathematical numbers, you know, that go into these collision detections, and, you know, how relatively consistent all things are. And it's like, yeah, the 1% of people who are playing this X many hours per week are going to notice, you know, tiny mechanical, you can't even call them failures. Like, we're really going to have this thing under a microscope. But I don't think that's necessarily always fair. Like, sure, within our responsibility as the consumer to be loud about things that we want adjusted and we want fixed. But I think one of the very few things, you know, maybe criticisms that I have is that the community sometimes can just tend to be swayed to the negative so easily and so quickly. But again, I mean, that's also probably for most communities out there. But I don't know. It's kind of how I see it.
No, I mean, you're completely right. I mean, we're big Madden guys, right?
Sure.
But I have a friend who's a big 2K guy and is in their community. And us Madden guys will go over 2K and be like, yo, this is great. This is awesome. Yo, this plays great. But if you go deep into the core of that community, man, they have just as many complaints and gripes about 2K as us Madden guys.
For sure.
So I think the other thing is that what we also have to realize is that although we hear our voices, you know, us on Twitter and Twitch and all the social media, we make up for less than 5% of everybody that buys Madden.
Far less.
And I think that's the difficult decision that EA has, right? Because they gotta market to these casual fans who make up over 90% of their base that buy this game,
right?
And still try to appease the less than 10 to 5% of us who complain that rollout corners are just way too effective.
Right.
You know,
after you mic the right guy and double team the guy and slide your line over. And you know what I mean? It's like 97.9% of people are going to have lost that sentence literally one word in, and they don't care about the rest of it. And to your point, I completely agree that I think it's good for us, you know, to remember as this very small subsection of a community that intakes so much of the game that that is not even a sliver of Madden and the people who are playing the game, and who, you know, at the end of the day, as a for-profit business entity, EA is going to want to please and appease. Like, it's not all about us, and not only is it not about us, it's not that much about us at all, honestly. And that's not, I don't think there's anything wrong with that necessarily.
It's not, but I think if they want to grow the competitive scene, I think that's where it gets difficult for them, because they have to grow it in a sense that more people are competitive, which makes it seem like, okay, well then they need to lessen the skill gap, where most competitive guys are like, yo, the skill gap is already super low. Like,
it is. I would tend to agree with them on that too. I mean, I wind up agreeing with a lot of these comp guys on their criticisms of the game. Like, I think a lot of it is very fair. And to be, you know, objective, I also don't think these things need to be mutually exclusive. Like, I don't think it needs to be either one or the other. I think, you know, you put out a foundational product that has appeal to your masses, and then you really tap in with your community and your comp guys, your comp community specifically, to adjust the sliders and fine tune it from there after, you know, your preliminary whatever, like the yard, the kids are playing the yard or whatever the case may be, having that as a part of the initial package and kind of just adjusting. And I think, you know, I guess, again, with the tendency to be a tough critic, I think they could always listen to more of it, I suppose, and do more of the tuning. But But again, and then I think right back to, and I work in this cycle, then it's right back to, it's like, well, yeah, but 99% of people aren't even taking a look at this at all,
Here's my take on that is that you have different settings. Like you have a competitive setting. Why isn't that competitive setting set to how the competitors want the game?
Yeah.
Like
good
the
question.
issue is you have this base foundation, then you have these 3 settings that you can go: arcade, simulation, competitive, right? So the difference between competitive and simulation should be so far,
Right.
should be way greater
Right.
than it is right now.
Agreed.
It's just way too close. Competitive and simulation are just way too close that sometimes you can't tell. If you were to play a quarter of a game, and I asked you what setting this was on, I guarantee you 9 out of probably 50-50, you might get it wrong.
Because it's just a 50-50 shot. I would just have to guess one.
Right.
I would really have no idea because it doesn't feel any different.
Right. Now, like arcade versus
Different.
comp and simulation is way different.
Right.
When you're playing on arcade.
Right.
You throw into double coverage and it
Don't
gets
matter.
caught every time.
Get agged and then stiff-armed and then run somebody over with a 150-pound receiver. Yeah, right.
Right. So what I'm saying is that the competitive setting should be that much further from the simulation setting.
Got you.
It just should.
Yeah.
It just should.
Yeah, I would tend to. I would tend to agree with
that. The gap needs to be wider.
And so I'm thinking. So they just announced next gen will be the competitive Madden hosting ground. What do you got? Any feelings about that, there, Shop?
I'm not surprised. I'm not.
Yeah,
surprised.
no, me neither.
Like it all goes towards marketing. Like they want to market the newer game, so they're not going to go. I'm gonna be real. Like I just am disgusted with the MCS.
Is that so?
Since after year 2, like just the fact that there's no reason why you don't have partners.
Yeah.
There's so many, like back in the day, I mentioned you had Best Buy, you had McDonald's, big brands backing up Madden. And now you can hardly get a sponsor.
Right.
And I don't know why that is. I'm watching other games like Mortal Kombat give out hundreds of thousands of dollars per tournament.
Stuff. Yeah, I see the same stuff.
Per tournament. I'm seeing damn Tiddlywink contests give out more money than Madden tournaments. Like it makes no sense. You are a $1 billion company.
Right.
And you can actually grow this thing if you put money into it. It's almost as if they want to be like, well, y'all come first and then we'll put money into it.
And it's got to be
being like, let's put money into it and watch everybody come and compete.
Everyone has seen Field of Dreams. Great. Everyone knows that it's if you build it first, then they will come. And I think that's a very fair criticism and certainly something that yet another thing that I agree on. And then it's like when you do see them spending money on anything, it's like, why
it's on the wrong
that?
stuff.
What the fuck? That's the one? That's where you're gonna toss some money. This is like your like market, like this is like the celebrity, like this is like the look that you want. Like, do you think this appeals to who? Are you aiming for the 95% or are you aiming for us at the 5%? I can't tell because it just seems bad. Like it just seems like a reallocation of resources, like a reconsideration of the things that are important and what's not important in the game. And I mean, bro, really even just as simply as like the game modes that people are playing, where people are spending their time in the game. Like I feel like, there's some money being spent in places that it's like, dude, that's a waste, man. This sucks. Like this is not like a good product.
It's a bad product and it's really their fault. It's really their fault. Yeah, the whole and I'll be straight up. That whole Derwin versus the world crap.
Bad.
Like that to me that was a waste of money. That was a waste of money. You could have used that money. You could use that money for a bigger prize pool for all I care. Like,
and generated more
could not
content
have
based off the
wasted
prize
it on
pool
that.
by tapping into the personalities. Because, like, you know, some of these comp guys have big personalities, some don't. But, you know, just the fact that you could have re-tapped into the community and instead, I don't know, like, we're lining, and not even to like get too like nitty gritty on like financials, like, you know, who is it that you're trying to pay here? Like, what money are you trying to recycle into? I mean, these comp guys would spend their checks right back on the game again, but. Like we say, it's not about the sub, and you said 5%, man. I think it's 3 or less percent, or maybe, I mean, really numerically, probably even less than 1 actual percent. But you know, and I don't. The question is like, is it appealing to the 99%? I don't think so. I don't think it was.
No, no, it definitely wasn't. It definitely wasn't. You know, I didn't mind the chunky soup yard invitational.
Right.
To me, I think you can have more of those.
Right. A lot of personality was able to shine through there.
Yeah, and I think that's the other thing that I feel like they're starting to do more is to shine light on the players that are making it. I think that's where you market it. You market it
Agreed.
towards the people who are actually playing their game. Because the game does not look good in some aspects, whether you show it. Like if you watch Madden Nation, they showed very little of the game itself,
Right.
but more of the people who are playing the game. And I feel like that's the way you have to go.
Right. And that's because that's the most appealing stuff. That we talk about that on here regularly. Just like a microcosm of that idea is Twitch itself. Like, and we've all had to try to explain Twitch to somebody who has no idea or like, you know, preconceived notion of what it might be. And it's like, so it's like kind of video games, but not really. What it really is human interaction, you know, taking a unique form. And that's, and I agree with you, you know, of course, yet again, that like that's the value added factor that's available here in this comp stuff is when they got them sitting next to each other, diving into their player profiles, like that, even just like the post, like they did a Twitter post where they kind of did like a overall ratings for some of these comp guys. Thought that was dope, man. Like, you know, folding these guys into the game. I think, you know, a step in the right direction was having them as coaches that you could also put in the game. Thought that was dope. But I think that's just, you know, they're dipping their toe in the water, but it's like that's the move. That's the direction. Like Derwin James, I'm sure a good man top to bottom, a great football player, incredible. Wish him nothing but health, happiness, and all the best things. Not a showman. It was very boring, right? So like, and also has, other than being very good at Madden himself, which is, you know, cool to say, other than that, like isn't tapped into the community in any notable way. So, you know, maybe some opportunities to further the involvement, the integration, the community integration.
I think the other thing is that people, the EA as a company, saw that, and they might have saw like everybody come in, but like half of those people were just coming to get the coins to get the Derwin James.
Get their silver drops and get the card at the end of the thing, which is also terrible.
Like, I can't tell you how many times I just popped up, opened the tab, and never watched the game at all. Just left the tab open. So.
Oh yeah, me too. Yeah, I mean, and then I wound up muting the thing too. Although they did, you know, the commentary. Gotta love our guy Nick Mazesco. Shout out to Nick Mazesco. I think some of those guys, same thing, massively entertaining. But those are the guys I want to see more of. Like we don't need to keep outsourcing like we have. And then, you know, the hot take would be somebody like Dubby, like who's some of these showmen in like the Twitch streaming space that are like maybe like a little bit hot to the touch, like understood, but are also proven show people and entertainers and have already integrated into the community. And of course I understand, you know, from a business perspective why you got to mitigate risk and, you know, you worry about like brand association stuff like this. So I get it too. But I mean, it would be cool, wouldn't it?
It would be cool. I love Dubby. I had Dubby as my speaker when I did a Madden boot camp. I did a 2-day Madden boot camp 2 years ago, and he was the Madden pro that I brought in and to talk to the young ones about getting into Madden and how to make money and what to do with your money and how to sort of navigate everything. Because if you know Dubby's arc, Do you know the stuff that he's had to go through to get to where he is? And although EA won't probably accept him as somebody that they would ever put on the screen again, he's definitely good for Madden as a whole.
Agreed.
Some people might not like him, might not like how he did things, but he is an entertainer. He is a showman, and he knows what the people want, and he knows how to put together. Look, the bot wars are probably the most entertaining Madden stuff you could watch.
Right. Agreed.
Out of anything that's on the internet.
That's your top available Madden content right now.
Yes.
Yeah.
The bot wars were the best. And they can be, and you know why they were the best? Because casual fans loved it. Comp guys loved it. I have a friend who doesn't even play Madden, but created a Twitter account just so he could watch W's bot wars and tweet out pictures and comments about the bot wars. Like that's how great the bot war stuff is, and that's how more content needs to come forth. Because again, the connection is never with the game. The game might bring you there, but the connection is with the people. Right. The connection is with the people that are playing, that are being entertaining to you while that game is being played.
Yeah, Shop, man, I'm in full agreement. Is there anybody that, like, for you personally, that you're looking forward to the next year of Madden that you want to tap in with? Anybody anybody on your Star Watch or anything, or anybody of your friends that we should be paying attention to, or you're got something cooking up with? I need you gotta give me something, Shop. I know you're cooking something. I need to know.
I have something cooking.
Awesome.
I actually have a couple of things cooking, but the guys that I don't know. I love all these young guys. I'm just mad I don't have the time to watch everybody all at once. Like,
for sure,
I catch you. That's really what the issue is. I catch you. I love, man, Finn. I love your energy, dude. I just love it. It's infectious. It's contagious.
That really makes me happy.
It's outrageous at times, which I love.
That's awesome. I love to hear that, bro. It made me feel good.
I just love your energy. And there's other guys out there that I like to watch. Like, I don't know. Like, I just started watching Little Man.
Okay. Yeah. Hell yeah. Right.
MLB streamer.
Right.
Like,
super dope.
He is hilarious. I love watching him. A lot of times I'll have stuff on. One great user is just a character all of himself. Like,
by himself, right?
He could be streaming anything, and I would tune in because, and it's funny because even my wife recognized his voice, and she'll say, "Oh, the Velvet Teddy Bear's on." That's what she calls him. The Velvet
Does he know that? Does he know that he's a Velvet Teddy Bear to the missus?
I have told him that, but yeah, she calls him the Velvet Teddy Bear.
That's dope.
And I said, yeah, he kind of, yeah, okay, I see it.
Yeah, that fits.
So, look, I'm willing to get involved with a lot of people just to get this community growing and energized
For sure.
But because I don't stream as much as I want to, but I stream as much as I can. And one thing I will give, this is one of advice I would give streamers, especially streamers with family. Don't lock your family out of you streaming. I did that at the beginning of when I started streaming regularly. And it just wasn't good. Like, you'll like, my kids will tell you, like, I'll be like, "Oh, y'all did that? Where was I? Oh, you were streaming, Dad. We didn't want to bother you."
Yeah, I'm sure you hate to hear that.
Oh, man, yeah. So now, like, if I'm streaming, you'll see my daughter come in, my son come in.
Love that.
You'll see my wife come in. Like, I don't want to. You can't close yourself off from the world, and I think people appreciate you opening yourself up and your family up to the audience.
Sure. To let them feel like they're a part of what you got going on, and you kind of beat me to the.
In my chat who they give my son a hard time all the time. and it's just hilarious.
That's a beautiful thing. It just feels like extended family. And you upstream me a little bit. One of the last questions I wanted to ask you and get your perspective on is talking to somebody who you've already started this conversation with, who's watching and starting. They want to boot up a stream. Maybe they're chasing affiliate. They're trying to figure out what's important and what values they should have going into anything, career you could call it, that looks anything like yours. Would you give any? Do you have any advice to offer somebody in those shoes, or maybe even a young shop? You could imagine it as. What do you think you have to offer?
So here's my advice to anybody that wants to start streaming or who are already streaming. I think the first thing you have to do is be yourself. Be authentic to yourself. I tried at the beginning of streaming to be loud and boisterous and just like 100 full tilt. That's not me though. That's not me. And I was so exhausted after the first couple of times I did that. I mean, just, oh my God. Like, just, okay, I got to sit in this room for another 30 minutes afterwards just to gather myself. Like, so be yourself. If you're not a high energy guy like my guy Fend, don't try to be a high energy guy.
Sure.
Like, just be yourself. One is you'll save a ton of energy to keep doing it. Because if you're on 100 like my guy Finn, but you're more like me who's laid back, you will stream once a week and you'll be done for the rest of the week.
Yeah, true indeed. Yeah.
The second thing I will say is, like I said, don't close your family off to your streaming. Especially because the one thing I've seen happen to, some fellow streamers is that they're so into streaming that they get separated from what's going on in their family. And so don't close them off. Like, the one thing I had to do was tell my wife, yo, this is my schedule.
Yeah.
This is my schedule. It doesn't mean that I'm not going to talk to you. It doesn't mean that you can't text me and tell me if something's going on. It doesn't mean that you don't come down and say you're leaving or whatever. It just means that this is my schedule of when I'm streaming.
And that's it. That's all it means.
And that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. So, and I tell the kids, especially if you have kids, because I'm telling you, I did this at the beginning of me trying to stream and, be more consistent. I shut them out. But then I started hearing remarks. Oh, dad's streaming, so don't worry about him, or dad's gonna be doing this, so he doesn't have time to do whatever. No. So that has changed. That changed from the beginning when I saw that it was starting to be a problem. The other thing I will say is create a schedule.
I think that's huge, right?
Don't try to do too much all at one time. Create a nice little schedule that you can fit in, that you're not, and then keep with the schedule. I always say that your schedule is like a TV show. People, not now, but I remember back in the day, you used to have to wait till the next show come on before you get to what's going to happen next. So people will come back. People will come back and check out your show. And that's really it. And let's see. Opportunities. Look, if there's an opportunity out there, or if there's somebody that you want to work with, hey, there's no harm in asking. Because like I tell my kids, if you're scared to hear no, you'll never hear yes.
True indeed.
That is my motto. If you're scared to hear no, you'll never hear yes. So I used to tell my kids, who used to be like, well, I didn't want to ask you because I didn't think you would let me go. Dang, I would have let you go.
Yeah.
For real? Yeah, but you never asked. So how was I supposed to know?
That's good life advice, period. You got to be okay with hearing no.
you miss out on so many opportunities because you're afraid to hear no. And I get it. Society has taught us that rejection is bad, and rejection is not a good thing. You know, rejection is just a part of the journey.
Yeah.
And look at me. I got rejected by Twitch twice to be partnership. And although I didn't ask again, they came and asked me. Doesn't get better than that. So
interesting. That's a beautiful thing.
Never be scared. Never be scared of no. Because guess what? If I ask you something, if I say, Finn, hey man, can I borrow $100,000, and you say no,
sure can't.
Okay,
you didn't lose anything from that exchange, right? You're just as well off before, yeah.
I didn't lose anything. Now you might think, dang, I don't know why Shop asked me for $100,000, but other than that, I didn't lose anything.
True,
if you want to work with somebody, you don't know that they might want to work with you, but both of y'all don't want to ask the other one, to help. So
that's how I wound up getting a SHOPMASTER on my show. Actually, that's specifically the tactic I use there. Just shoot, man. Just shoot your shot and see what we got going. And here we are.
Another piece of advice, and this is my gaming advice.
Okay.
And I say this on my chat all the time, my Twitch, is a loss is nothing but an opportunity to sharpen skills. Losing, hold on, what is it? Dang, I just had it. What do I say loss is? I got it on my thing. I appreciate all the follows too. But loss is a learning opportunity to sharpen skills.
Love that.
That's what loss is. Loss is a learning opportunity to sharpen skills. So there's always something you can take out of a loss. Mm-hmm. There's always something you can take out of a loss. So just remember that. Just remember that.
Shot, man. I can't believe we went like probably more than double the time that I anticipated that we would, man. Super generous of you to spend so much of your Monday going through your story, man. Bro, this has been dope. I really have enjoyed sitting down with you and learning. I feel like it was not only like the SHOPMASTER origin story, but we also got like really this was like a Madden history lesson on like, how things were. And I feel like that was, super valuable. And of course, to kind of get perspective also into, the path that you walked en route to where you are right now. But I mean, there's like just not really that many people, I think, outside of you, who have these shared experiences. Like I said, you were playing comp games in your Howard dorm room when I was, just barely shy of a good idea. You know what I mean? And I thought that was super valuable, man. It was an honor to have you on from the Howard dorm room comp beginnings through getting flown out, but also almost sending EA to the spam folder. But you linked up with them, wind up on the bus on Madden Nation. The James Bond-like story of you paying a bellhop who would eventually escape with your $20 for the lookout, so you could go purchase an Xbox because now we needed to get on the box and get some reps. That's remarkable. Denver didn't go necessarily as planned, but a great fight, nonetheless. I love that, you gave us a good direction on where the channel is headed, maybe a teaser more so than a direction, I guess you could fairly say. And I think we're in agreement on kind of like where the game stands right now too. I think, optimism is always the order of the day, right? Remembering that it could always be worse, and it is really pretty good. And it was an absolute pleasure and an honor to go through this story with you, Shop. Is there anything, brother, that we missed or some things you want to touch on before we wrap the show up and bring this thing home?
Yo, just shout out to the chat and everybody that support us content creators. I don't think that, in my wildest dreams would I believe that people would actually tune in to watch me play video games. You know, I tell my mama all the time, Mama, I made it because of you, because you introduced me to video games and I haven't stopped. And so, yo, shout out to everybody in the chat. Actually, yesterday, I want to just say real quick, I was able to actually meet two people in real life that come to my chat all the time. One's a mod in Big Stupid, and Party Boys, who has gifted over 200 subs to my channel.
Wow.
I got to hang out with them yesterday.
Super dope, man. I love when that barrier gets broken, and now they're not just Twitch friends. Now they're just friends. You don't need no prefix on that at all.
Exactly. So it was great meeting up with those guys. And again, like I stream pretty. Let me give you my rundown. I stream pretty much every day, around 7:30. Every Monday I have trivia night, where again I give out money for right answers, and you get free gifted subs to your favorite Twitch streamer of your choice if you had the right answers. Tonight there will be no trivia night, as I will be on OGN's Out of Bounds.
Yes, sir.
Tuesday night during the Madden season, I have Community Challenge Night, where you can challenge me in a game of Madden, and it won't matter what system, because I will have both to knock your heads in.
Sir, yes, sir, man. Cross console don't matter. You can't hide anymore.
Yeah, exactly. You can't hide, because I used to have that. I used to have people that just be, oh, you're on PlayStation. See, if you had an Xbox, I'd beat you.
I'd bust you. Yeah, nope.
I have an Xbox.
That's weird.
Or the people that come in, and my mods will tell you, like, people come in during the week, oh man, you're old, man. I could beat you in my sleep.
Is that what you
come
think?
back Tuesday. Come back Tuesday. And they never, like, some of them just don't show up. Some of them show up and then get beat in. My record in community challenge is like crazy.
Yeah.
It's like but that's a way to keep me competitive in my mind.
Sure.
Like, I'm waiting for one of these goon Madden Pro guys to just jump in my stream every Tuesday and just knock my head in and just make me give $10 to the chat. Because if I lose, I give $10 to the chat. So
that's dope. So it's not just the competitor either. Like, the chat can get involved. If shop goes down, somebody's getting $10.
Somebody's getting paid.
I like that.
Somebody's getting paid.
So that's Tuesday nights. Do you have action, you said, for the rest of the week then also on Wednesday?
So I'm off on Wednesday. It's date night, and it's something that especially if you're married, you got to have. So,
bro, yeah.
Wifey knows no streaming on Wednesdays. Date night, we go out, we just spend time together. So I think it's important to have that balance.
Right.
Let's see. And then Thursday and Friday, I'm on again, just regular streaming. Oh, Mondays now. After trivia, I do have mod Mondays. We've been playing I play Fortnite with the mods.
Oh, cool.
We're still trying to get that elusive first dub. So come watch us tonight after OGN's Out of Bounds. We'll be playing some Fortnite, and we'll try to get a dub. I don't know. We're just terrible at the game, but it's hilarious. It's hilarious.
Let me make sure I got the @ right. Is it SHOPMASTER TV, right? Twitch.tv/SHOPMASTER TV.
Yep, SHOPMASTER TV, yep.
Evening times, except for Wednesday, date night. Love that, man. Keeping an eye on balance, keeping an eye on the family you've been able to incorporate into the experience and into your stream, man. Just, moving in a direct. Like I said, it was an honor to have you on. I know I just got here, and I mean, the fact that you were playing comp games while I'm in a crib is evidence enough, but I know, I'm sure a lot of other of the young guns in the channel got to hear a perspective that they had not gotten to hear before SHOPMASTER, and we owe that to you, brother, and I'm very, very grateful for it, man. Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate you, man. Appreciate you.
Shop, man.
I love your energy.
I've been Fend. This has been SHOPMASTER TV, twitch.tv/SHOPMASTER TV, man. Make sure you check in with the OG. We do not use that term lightly, man. Maintain intensity, be better than your opponent's shop. It was an honor and a pleasure, brother. Thank you so much for all your time, bro. It was a pleasure.
Thank you, man.
Shop, man. Have a great day, bro.
All right.
Peace.